Hello, I'm Wheels, and welcome back to Dicebreaker. We are here at PAX Unplugged 2022, where we have been sponsored by Brother Ming Games to take a look at what we have in front of us. But first of all, hello, Brother Ming.
Hi, yeah, I am Ming of Brother Ming Games. 大家好，我是明哥。This is React, the Arts of War. It is designed by Chris Lin and Eric Zerain, with art by Wicked Alucard and Locksticks, and graphic design by Jules. So this is my first original game publication, and it is a highly competitive 1 versus 1 dueling game. What I like to call basically, Yu-Gi-Oh meets chess. It's really designed to capture that magic of many traditional TCGs with a reaction stack or an effect chain, meets a grid-based combat more traditional with what board gamers might expect, and with very simple effects where you just pick up a character and you start playing. So very easy to pick up and play.
Immediately I'm in because TCGs with grid-based movement is my very specific niche.
There you go.
Loved Duelist and things like that, like very, very...
Oh, Duelist.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, we have to talk about that later.
Absolutely. All right, okay, so first things first. Very anime.
Yes, very anime. The name of the game is Re-Semicolon-Act. Very important. The semicolon means something, whatever you want it to mean, but it's anime.
So talk me through the sort of general gist of like who are we in this game? What are we trying to achieve?
Yeah, so it is called the Arts of War because in this game it is a 1 versus 1 character dueler, so you and your opponent will pick one of the 8 characters in the game, and all of them are different types of artists, hence the Arts of War. Each character is a master of a different type of art, and they have anime nonsense powers based on that particular art style. So here on this demo, we have the calligrapher, who has a giant katana with an ink brush at the tip, and she is able to ink her enemies and control anybody with the spells she writes calligraphy style. Against her, we have the dancer, a graceful water dancer who glides around the entire field, leaving behind ripples of power with every step he takes, and then summons these gorgeous beta fish, who, very pretty, very large, and very angry. So all the characters in this game are fighters with very, very different powers, high asymmetry, and all types of different art. We have an animator, a tattoo artist, a graffiti tagger, a sculptor, you name it, we have it.
Nice. I'm immediately, I feel like the thing that stands out the most are these huge standees, like these big acrylic standees, like the art is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, that was something I wanted from day one. It is, I love anime, I love anime games, and I think the best way to represent anime in a game is with these gorgeous acrylics. It is going to be the deluxified version. In the base game, you'll just play with cards on a grid, very similar to Summoner Wars, which many gamers are used to. But if you upgrade for the deluxe, it's only an extra $40 for both 2 play mats and 28 all unique acrylic standees. And the best thing about these acrylic standees, for me personally, is not only are they very large and very beautiful, they can actually carry tokens. So if you need to mark them for anything with like a status token or anything, they can carry it in the base, and they're very stable. You can rummage it around, and that is practical and gorgeous.
Nice. So, as you said, this is TCG. So, are there sort of specific kind of mechanics or influences that people will want to hear if they're trying to figure out what kind of area on the spectrum this TCG is?
Yeah, well, so this is not a TCG, it's a board game, but it's very heavily inspired by TCG mechanics. Okay. So very cheap to enter if you are, don't want to pay thousands of dollars to get into your TCG of choice. This is, $60 for the whole game, and the reason why we're so inspired by TCGs is we use that classic reaction system, that stack. Magic the Gathering calls it the stack, Yu-Gi-Oh calls it the effect chain, Runeterra doesn't call it anything. But the idea is that whenever you play a effect or a card, your opponent has an opportunity to react to it, and that goes onto a first in, last out stack. So classic meme of, I play this, but you've activated my trap card. Oh yeah? Well, you've activated my trap card. Which is great, because that kind of card play is not super common in board games, but it's something that TCG fans really, really love. It's very crunchy, very thinky, and it always keeps both players on their toes. And hence the name of the React. We call it the reaction chain.
Nice.
But yeah, that's where we get our inspiration from.
So would you say that this is like a game that is more geared towards sort of like expert players? Would you say that it's still got like a nice onboarding experience, or is this more geared towards those who are looking for like a really crunchy tactical experience?
So we are somewhere right in the middle. So I like to say my niche audience is for my fellow old TCG players who've played in high school and college, but don't have the hundreds and thousands of hours and dollars to invest into a TCG. So this game is very easy to pick up and play. There's 8 characters in the box, and each character comes pre-assembled with their deck of cards, their standees, their reference cards, and any bits that they may have. And you just pick a character and you get started right away. But it is still very, very crunchy and tactical. So and especially using that classic stack, something that board gamers who haven't really played in TCGs because they're afraid to try it out because it's such a heavy monetary and time investment. This is something that'll get you there, maybe as a bridge, just to see what it's like to play a very competitive 1-versus-1 dueling game.
So is there any sort of like deck building aspect, or is it all?
No, yeah, you just pick a character and you go. So that's kind of what makes it very streamlined and easy to pick up and play.
So you mentioned sort of Summoner Wars and things like that. Are there any other sort of more board game influences that you would say like a sort of cultural touchstone for people? Yeah,
personally, our gameplay is very, very dissimilar from Summoner Wars. It's just that we have cards on a grid.
Yeah.
But gameplay-wise, we're actually more inspired by a lot of very other anime dueling games like BattleCon, Exceed, which are some of my personal favorites. Warriors of Jogu, shout out to Monsoon Productions, very, very great game. So yeah, it is a hardcore 1-versus-1 dueling game that's really meant to be sort of like a bridge between casual and lifestyle. It's meant to promote mastery, and it's a game that you're definitely going to want to play more than once, because as you play, you're going to peel back the layers of how these very simple effects on each character can be played in many, many different ways.
Cool. Speaking of playing, do you want to show me like an example turn?
Yeah, so here we have the calligrapher versus the dancer. And so the gameplay itself is pretty straightforward. At its core, React is a card game. And you're going to have cards and you're going to play them. And you're going to do exactly what those cards say. But the cards are only separated in 2 types of categories, which makes it very easy to learn. There are blue cards, which we call intentions, and there are orange cards, which we call reactions. So blue cards are what Magic players might call sorceries. They are the slow spells. These are the cards that play first before anything else. So during your turn, say you are the calligrapher, you're the only player who can play blue cards. Your opponent cannot. But anytime once a blue card is played, it goes immediately onto this little blue slot with the number 1 pointing towards it. Then both players will have the opportunity back and forth to play reaction cards, these orange cards. And orange cards only go into orange slots, blue and blue, orange and orange. And both players can then react to each other's reactions. You can even react to your own reactions, which is actually a big part of the game, being able to react to yourself to create chains of combos. The opportunity passes back and forth. Once both players have decided that they no longer want to play reactions, then this stack resolves backwards, first in, last out. So number 4 resolves first, then number 3, then number 2, and finally the original blue intention card gets resolved last. As for the gameplay itself, that stack combined with a grid-based movement actually introduces a lot of very interesting combo potential. For example, say you are the dancer right here, and you're about to get attacked by your opponent's calligrapher brush spirit. So all the standees on the board, in addition to the cards you have in your hand that you're going to draw and play, they actually have their own agency. Just like creatures in Magic, you can tap them, and they can then perform an action once per turn. Just like every other card in the game, however, any creature that gets tapped also go onto the stack.
Right.
So, for example here, we have a spirit, and it is going to target the zone of the dancer to try to attack it. So that is a unique action to the spirit, and the dancer now has the opportunity to play a reaction card. Because if he doesn't do anything and the stack just resolves as it is, he takes a damage, and it only takes 3 damage to lose the game. So it's a very fast game. He doesn't want to take any damage. He's going to play a reaction card called Pivoting Step. He's a dancer, he's very, very flowy, and he's going to swap spaces with his opponent. So when this orange reaction card resolves, he's actually going to be able to swap spaces with that adjacent spirit, meaning once this attack resolves, the spirit hits himself. Because you see, the target never changes. That's kind of what's magical about the stack.
Love that.
Yeah, well, in this case, dancer goes, you've activated my trap card, the Pivoting Step. I'm going to swap spaces with you, and you're going to punch yourself in the face. But the calligrapher obviously doesn't want that to happen, so she goes, well, you've activated my trap card, Flowing Step. And she's going to put that onto the board. Now, every single card that is in the game may have a cost associated with it. And when we have costs, those are usually basically declarations of what you're going to be doing. In this case, a flowing step has a cost of choosing a direction. Just like how the cost of targeting a zone, you simply take that chain token and place it on the zone you're targeting. The direction can be chosen with these little tokens like a compass. They got little arrows, you can just turn them around. So in this case, the calligrapher says, I'm going to play flowing step, and when that resolves, all of the inked standees on the board are going to move in that direction. I'm going to flow everybody away. So if the dancer has no more reactions and we let this resolve, the spirit is actually going to shove away, and now, after this is gone, the dancer has no one to pivot with. He has no one to square dance with, and this card fizzles, and the original attack still lands, making the dancer lose.
Nice.
So that's kind of how this game works at its core. It is a card game, all about you and your opponent going back and forth and trying to manipulate the chain in a way to always come out on top.
So it sort of, originally it's I play a card, you play a card, but in actual fact it's I play a card, and then 4 other things happen on top of that.
Yes.
Then you play a card.
Exactly. And that's kind of something that a lot of board gamers might not be familiar with, but TCG players are very familiar with.
So do you see this as kind of a nice gateway to people who are maybe stepping into that realm then?
Yes, I think it will be a perfect gateway, especially I think what reviewers have also said is that, you know, people who like playing TCGs, but their friends just want to play board games because they don't want to get super, super nerdy and have to memorize 1,000 cards just to even be remotely competent. This is a great gateway. You bring this to your board game friends, and they're like, whoa, this is actually really thinky. Like, it's fun to think through what you're going to do, what your opponent still might have in their hand, et cetera, et cetera. And that kind of experience might lead them to try out a very expensive TCG or stick with our very cheap React, The Arts of War.
So what about the sort of release schedule for this? Are we going with like a sort of core box and then new characters being added along?
We just launched our first Kickstarter. This is my first original Kickstarter. And we launched Tuesday and are already fully funded. So thank you to everybody who's backed. I'm very, very excited. And yeah, so our Kickstarter ends December 28th. And with this, we are so far above my expectations, we are planning on adding a free character if we hit our next stretch goal. So fingers crossed we get that. So, but yes, the goal is base box comes with 8 characters, and then future, we are definitely going to make expansions with more characters. As for tiers, the base game comes with all 8 characters and everything you need to play, and then the deluxeification is, of course, acrylic standees.
Nice. And would you say that this is a game that is, for example, going to have like a long lifespan? Is that the plan? Like, are you planning to have like, like big seasons of content?
Yeah.
Or is there like a sort of endpoint in mind?
That is definitely something I would like to do. So, full disclosure, I'm still pretty inexperienced, new to this whole game, but I would like that. I've ran tournaments for my previous games before, both online and in Gen Con, and once this game comes out, I fully intend to run more tournaments, both at conventions like PAX Unplugged and online in my Discord server. Shout out to all my Discord homies.
Nice. Okay, one final question for you. Who's your favorite character?
Oh, my favorite character is definitely Calligrapher. Yeah. We've made her the main character for a reason. She is highly inspired by both my and the designer, Chris Lin's family. The calligraphy done on her cards is actually written by Chris Lin's parents.
That's very sweet.
Yeah. His father wrote her masterpiece card right here with all of that giant scroll. And his mother wrote these wonderful calligraphy cards for her different types of spell casting. Oh, that's very, very gorgeous. And the trailer for the game, if you go to the Kickstarter, which I'm very proud of, features my grandfather as like her character's grandfather who taught her how to write calligraphy. And all the calligraphy in the background are all written by him, who has passed, and he basically raised me. So we are very, very fond of the calligraphy character. And yeah, she is highly inspired by basically our own backgrounds and the whole theme of anime nonsense meet artists, right? The highest tier actually gets you an art book, which is something I don't see a lot of board games do anymore, but we're big fans of art. So if you like art, you should get the art book. It's going to be gorgeous.
Yeah, I love that. Normally when I ask people questions like that, they're like, oh, I can't pick, I love them all. And you're like, no, hold on.
Yeah. Calligrapher is best girl. No question. Calligrapher is best girl.
All right, well, thanks so much for showing this to us. Do you want to just sort of give us a quick rundown of where people can find this, where people can find you, and more stuff from you?
Yeah, of course. So anybody can find me on all social media as Brother Ming Game. No S because Twitter doesn't allow that last character, that character limit. Brother Ming Game across all social media, and React Board Game across all social media. And yeah, we are currently live on Kickstarter, Act, The Arts of War.
Links to the description for that. Thank you so much for watching this video here on Dicebreaker. If you want to see more from us, then we are covering so much stuff here from PAX Unplugged 2022 all over the weekend and all over until December as well. So there is plenty of tabletop content for you to enjoy on the channel right now. Head to youtube.com/Dicebreaker or dicebreaker.com for more fantastic news on everything tabletop and beyond. I'm Wills. This has been Brother Ming Games showing off React. We'll see you on the next one, but until then, have a lovely day. Goodbye.
谢谢大家。